Good morning, everybody. I'm as always Mr. Grimreaper, following two with on the phone again, Dark 997, and y'all guys probably can't see us, but this is a podcast, by the way. Welcome to the next edition of the Red Alert podcast, and today we're going to talk about two incidents that occurred in professional wrestling history. The 2000 Bash at the Beach, how that changed wrestling, and also the WWF Survivor Series that occurred in 1997. Now you know the story. Now you guys, I'm pretty sure, have probably know the story of what went down back in 1997 over Bret Hart. Bret Hart was about to leave the WWF and head to WCW at the time. As far as I know it, Eric Bischoff had given Bret Hart a large sum of money to leave the WWF to go to WCW. Bret Hart was at the time going through troubles with Vince McMahon and stuff, all this other stuff, and then comes November 1997, where Bret Hart, I don't give a damn what Vince said, Bret Hart was screwed out of the WWF Championship by Vince McMahon. Vince is a piece of shit for what he did, and what do you make about the incident that occurred in 1997, man?
I agree with you. Bret Hart was screwed. Like you said, going into that, you had at the time Bret Hart was being offered tons of money, more money than you can ever imagine. That more money than he was actually paid by the WWF to go to WCW and by Eric Bischoff at WCW. Some people already had left the company, already just walked out and went to WCW and turned it back on Vince.
Yeah, people like Hogan, people like Savage.
Yes.
Mean Gene Okerlund was gone from the WWF at that time. Bobby Heenan, Bobby the Brain Heenan was gone from there at that time.
Exactly. Scott Hall started that. Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, and then Kevin Nash, and you had 123 X-Pac, for those of you who know him as, was there. Ted DiBiase, $1 Million Man, just to name a few, had all went to WCW, and that's what led to what we got to call the Monday Night War, but the battle between WWF and WCW at the time. But so anyway, it was during that time that WWE was offering, that Eric Bischoff of WWE was offering a ton of money to Bret the Hitman Hart. Then for him to go ahead, they screw WWF. I'm going to come to WCW to offer me more money, but Bret was really in a pickle at the time.
Yeah.
But then we come to Survivor Series. The match is going great. We're in the home country of Bret Hart, which is Canada, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Near Bret Hart from town of Calgary, and it was a great night. So far, all the matches were great. So it was the main event for the World Wrestling Federation title. And when that happened, like I said, Bret, I think Bret wanted to really. That's not really the way I would have gone. I think if Bret was going to leave, they wouldn't make Bret leave with honor and dignity, and that was not the way it should have been.
Yeah, the plan was, if I remember correctly, and I remember watching a documentary called Wrestling with Shadows, that had Bret Hart in it. And this, if y'all guys haven't seen Wrestling with Shadows, I highly recommend it. It's a really good documentary, by the way. Bret Hart kept telling Vince, hey, how about instead of me dropping the belt in my home, I don't want to drop the belt in my hometown of Montreal. I'd rather drop it the next night during Raw. You know what I mean? They were gonna be in Detroit, Michigan, I believe, for Monday Night Raw.
That's right.
And Vince was telling him, "Oh, blah 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 blah." You know the story. If you've heard these other podcasts talk about this story, you've heard the story of what went down. So many different versions of this that all went down back in 1997. But here's who was involved with that screw job: Shawn Michaels, Earl Hebner, and Vince McMahon. were all three involved in that shit. And here's what pisses me off even more. Sean lied to Bret. When you remember in the Wrestling with Shadows documentary, man, Bret asked him when they're in the backstage area, he asked him, "You had anything to do with that shit?" He said no. Sean was a lying motherfucker then. Sean was a lying son of a bitch now. And there was an episode of Monday Night Raw maybe a couple of years ago where Bret Hart and Sean buried the hatchet with each other and stuff like that. But I think Bret had it in the back of his mind that Sean was a bastard, that Sean was a piece of shit for what he did. And you know what I mean? And it's just this whole thing that happened in Montreal was garbage. And for Vince to tell JR that Bret screwed Bret, no, Vince is a piece of shit. Vince has always been a piece of shit and a scumbag son of a bitch for what he did to Bret Hart. What do you think, man?
I agree. I do agree. For Vince to say that was just not right, and because he knows what he did, and if you know his fans, if you watch Live Series 97, you know you see Bret spit at Vince because Bret knew that Vince had something to do with this. So again, yeah, for Bret to say that, for Vince to say that's not right. And but again, that was just a messed up way for Bret to leave. And I remember that Bret wanted to drop the title not in his home country of Canada.
He wanted to drop it. Yeah, he wanted to drop it in the fucking States. He wanted to drop it the next night during Monday Night Raw in Detroit. Yeah. But Vince had other plans. Vince told Earl Hebner, Vince told the timekeeper when they were out during that matchup, man, Vince told the timekeeper, ring the fucking bell. Ring the goddamn bell. And he screwed Bret out of the WWF title. He screwed him. Shawn Michaels knew what the hell was going on too, because Shawn Michaels was in on the act too. There was only several people that knew what went down. And then to top it off, this is the hilarious part. When Bret Hart came into the backstage area, everybody knew what went down with that. Everybody knew what went down when Bret Hart and Vince McMahon were in the same room after that crap went down. Bret Hart took a shot at Vince McMahon. He punched him right in his fucking eye and said, "Hey, I'm gone. I'm done with WWF. You can kiss my ass." And Bret did the right thing, going to WCW. What do I believe that it was the right thing to do? I think Bret wanted to stay in the WWF. He wanted to stay in the World Wrestling Federation. But things were getting so hard for Bret that he had to make the leap. He had no idea what the hell he was gonna do. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but I would like to know from you guys. I want to know from you guys in the comments. What did you think about the whole situation in Montreal in 1997 and stuff like that? But we're going to switch gears here from talking about one incident to another. This pay-per-view, the 2000 Bash at the Beach, was named one of the worst controversial pay-per-views in the history of professional wrestling because of the bullshit that came with it, because of the backstage politics, the garbage that came with it, involving Hulk Hogan and Vince Russo. Now, many of you know this story too. Hulk Hogan was supposed to have been involved in a WCW World Title match against Jeff Jarrett. Jarrett decided to lay down for Hogan, which is a bullshit call if I say so myself. And Vince Russo Vince and Hogan told Russo how the fuck he felt about him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he said shit like this shouldn't happen in professional wrestling. This is garbage. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
yeah.
what did Russo do? Russo comes out, said you will he gave Hogan the world title, said it was Hulk Hogan's personal championship or whatever the fuck. And he said you will never see that motherfucker back in WCW again. We know about that situation, but what about what happened after? Hulk Hogan filed a federal injunction against WCW, against Vince Russo's sorry ass for what happened that goddamn night. And I agree with everything Hogan did. And then Russo is going to say that he had no part, that he had no idea that what was going on a podcast. Are you serious? Are you serious? You had no idea what the fuck was. You had no idea. Wow. I don't blame, but I don't. They were gonna put the belt. They were gonna put the belt on Booker T. I guess Russo had some other ideas, or whatever the fuck, or something like that, and I don't know the full story, but I know half of the story that went down. I've also listened to different versions of this story. One of them being Vince Russo's version, and I think Russo is a fucking lying son of a bitch.
Oh yeah.
But what they did to Hogan that night was bad. Was terrible. Hogan did not deserve that crap to go on like it did that night at Bash at the Beach. And I want to get your insight on it, man. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for those of you who may not know, right on 2000, WWE was run by Vince Russo, and basically he got into the ground. And when this Special Beach came around, nobody was going to expect the way it did. And when Russo told Jarrett to lie down and just let Hogan pin him, no, that's something that's not right, because fans go there to see wrestling. They go there to see a match, see two people beat the hell out of each other, put the bottom on the line for one title, which is the heavyweight title, which is the important title in a wrestling company's industry, which is the heavyweight title. And for Vince Russo, it's not like Vince Russo to tell Jarrett to lie down. Hogan even said it himself on the mic. He said, "This is bullshit." That's what he said to Russo. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And I agree. And Vince Russo has been the most successful person in wrestling history. There's a lot of things Vince Russo has been disliked for. There's a lot of things that, I mean, Vince Russo is just the worst of the worst. And Vince Russo, the people think Vince Russo is responsible for a lot of things. One of them, as you know, has been very much talked about, is the death of Owen Hart. You know, people are looking at Russo for that. And Russo can sit there and say, I had nothing to do with it, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? I refuse to believe that, because Russo is sometimes is a prick. And so there are many things that fans are looking at Russo for it, and you know, and this is just our opinion, guys. You know, this is just what we're talking about. You know, this is our opinion on things. We're not looking for a war of words. We're not trying to, you know, start crap or anything. This is just our opinions on what we think on those two incidents that we're talking to you about. But anyway, so yeah, so that was just one of the most insane, never forgetting, unforgiving moments that ever occurred in WWE history. When Russo told Jeff Jarrett to lie down and have Hogan just pin him, when we could have saw a hell of a fight between Jarrett and Hogan. And rather than having that, Russo says, lay down, Jeff, go ahead and lay down, give him the title, we'll get out of here, whatever. You know, that's all. Because wrestling, we all know, my partner and I have been fans of wrestling since the 90s, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And him and I know. We always watch the pay-per-views. the title match. We're looking forward to a fight. That's what it's supposed to be about. Not crap like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's my opinion on it, and this is just what we're talking about. That's just our opinion on it.
The thing about it is that Russo, what he did after the match, what he did after the comments that he made when he lied on his podcast. He lied on his podcast and saying that he did not know what the hell he did not know what's going on. He had different plans in the whole situation that went on during that night. Bullshit. You telling me, Russo, that you had no idea that you were gonna you had no idea what the fuck was happening, dude? Seriously? That you had no idea that you were gonna do that shit to Hogan, that you were gonna fuck over Hogan like you did. Fuck you, Russo. Well, first of all, Russo's a lying son of a bitch. He's a lying coward. He's a coward. And I'm gonna say as much as to the fact that happened. Did Hogan deserve what happened to him that night? Hell no.
No, he didn't.
Did everyone on that broadcast, everything on that broadcast was terrible booking. Everything was terrible that occurred. And if it sounds like me and Knight are fucking defending Hogan, we are. Hogan, all Hogan wanted was another championship opportunity. That's all he wanted. That's all part of professional wrestling.
Exactly.
Would you agree, man?
I agree. That's what makes wrestling what it is. People fighting for a title. That's basically what it is. Yeah.
Okay, so Hogan did not know that let me see here. Hold on. Okay, according to Cage Side Seats, this is what I'm reading here. Okay. So apparently Hogan and Bischoff said everything was planned. Apparently, I guess. I don't agree. I don't think that that's the truth. I really don't think that was the truth. Fans were rightfully pissed and everyone was adequately shocked to create buzz. It turned into a shoot. Okay, so alright, so Russo, according to this, proceeded to come back down to the ring once again once Hogan and Bischoff had already left and cut a promo on Hulk Hogan, calling him a piece of shit and saying the match earlier wasn't official and Jarrett was still the world champion. Yeah, he would sue. Hogan did the right thing and sued that son of a bitch for everything he had. For defamation of character. So the suit was eventually tossed out and all that. You know the story. But anyway. Would I say that everyone involved was at fault for this? Would I say that everyone, that Bischoff, from Bischoff to Russo to Hogan, would I say everyone was at fault for the situation that occurred back in 2000? To a point, yes. I think Russo was the more at fault because of what he did to Hogan. I don't think Hogan, and I really don't believe this. I really don't believe that crap that they're saying that Hogan and Bischoff knew what was going on, or that they knew how, or they knew how that night was going to go and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's a lot of questions. It's a lot of questions, man, that have been brought up in that whole situation between Hogan, between Bischoff, and Russo. I think Russo is still a lying son of a bitch. Be honest with you, because I think Russo. I don't like Russo one bit. I know you don't like him. I still believe that Russo is a lying son of a bitch for what he did to Hogan and all that. But I don't know. You never know what the hell happened. You never know what the hell really happened in the backstage area, and that's all I'm really gonna say about that situation. But I want to know from you guys what y'all guys think about that and all that, and like, comment, subscribe. Let me know exactly in the comment section what you guys think about the two topics that we talked about this morning on the podcast. And yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I don't know. But anyway, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this stuff. And that is going to be it for me and Dark Knight 97. I'm going to give y'all guys a couple of videos today for on the channel. But that's going to be it for right now. I'm Mr. Grimreaper Phone 2 with Dark Knight 97. And we'll see you all in the afterlife. Peace out.